Afternoon, coaches. Welcome to Daily Podcast, Locker Room Podcast. I've got Mark back this week. We're looking at the Ulster Club final from the weekend. Mark, Kilcoo and Ergal Kieran. We're obviously going to take a look at the other three provincial finals as well and a wee quick sort of preview of the semi-finals. But I suppose, Mark, starting at the weekend in the athletic grounds, a massive, massive crowd for a club semi-final or for a club final. I really enjoy the club championship. I think it's played obviously at a winterish time of the year, but it's always a championship, Mark, and in particular in Ulster as well. That that they're arm wrestles, they're wars of attrition. There's never much between the sides, and Sunday was no different. I suppose you had two teams that were very, very evenly matched, albeit obviously a lot of talking into the game with Rory Canavan and Dara Canavan, but in fact it was probably Peter McCartan. Maybe not a household name that popped up with the two big points. But for me, Mark, like it was really, really a tight, tense tussle, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, and to be fair, it was I think I've been in that court before. Ulster Club Championship is my favourite competition out of everything. I think it's a brilliant competition, and to be fair, it was a brilliant final. It mightn't have been loads of scores, but just intensity, tactically, everything about it was just you couldn't keep your eyes off it. And like if you had said the Kilcoo would keep Errigal to 1-8, the Callums would only score a point. Kilcoo would be no doubt thinking would be Ulster champions today. And look, it just shows you on any given day, to be fair, the big thing Andy McGinn they'd be delighted for, it wasn't the Callums actually stood up for Peter Hurt. It was, you said, Peter McCartan, Joe O'Goose, these boys, Kieran McGinley, Cormac Quinn, these boys really stood up, and look, they probably just edged Kilcoo, but there's no doubt Kilcoo, this will hurt Kilcoo maybe more. I think that's 2 Ulster final defeats in the last 3 years. And I would say this one Sunday will really, really hurt them because they probably sniffed the way it opened up. There was a serious chance of an Ireland, and probably Kilcoo maybe be the first to admit they probably didn't play their normal run again. The one thing about Kilcoo is you look at Kilcoo, there's serious pace all over the pitch, and like the one thing I from watching them against Scottstown, whenever they turned the ball over, they just went. Everybody went. They went and played. Like there's one thing about Kilcoo, there's 4 and 5 men coming off the shoulder. I didn't see a big lot of that the other day. Just maybe, I don't know, maybe you have to give Eric serious credit for that, but even when Kilcoo had the ball, they just didn't seem to have the same options coming. There's a few times Sheelan got the ball and he broke lane, but he actually had to turn back because he hadn't enough people up the field.
Do you not think though maybe an aspect that, Mark, was, and it's something that I noticed in Errigal, like I thought Errigal were one of the best middle third pressing teams in the club championship this year. I thought they were very, very good. They're very brave at pressing the team as well. They backed themselves to press, and maybe there was an element of Errigal as well, not allowing that running game to get going, and maybe weren't as naive as maybe a Scottstown were in the last round.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Errigal done their homework and ended, but it wasn't even. They didn't go with that third high press as much on Sunday. They were happy to filter back. They obviously looked at the Scottstown game. It wasn't at the press Kilcoo high. They actually didn't squeeze Kilcoo to the last kick out.
Kilcoo scored 5 goals, but Kilcoo scoring 5 goals in the semi-final probably didn't help them, Mark, either. In the
no, look, and there's no doubt when it's probably a bad way, and it's a normal thing when you go into a semi-final, when you go into a final. I know if you're involved in a team, you'd rather be getting in scraping through, whereas Kilcoo completely went out and blitzed Scottstown. But look, the one thing maybe Kilcoo would be disappointed is there's only 1-4 score from play, and even against Scottstown, the goal they probably would like more out of their forward play. But I'm saying that, like the Dabs getting sent off was a big turning point in the game, massive, because to be fair, he was playing well, but to be fair to Errigal, and I think it was the only time Errigal went on a full massive squeeze on the kick out and went a massive that high press was when it went to draw in the last play. And look, as people say, they got their rewards, risk reward.
Tactically, you're talking about tactically. There was a few interesting insights. Obviously, tactically, Callum Rogers was picking up Petey Hard. Obviously, interesting one. Caleb Doherty, they really trust Caleb Doherty. He tended to hover around Dara Canavan quite a bit. Niall Brannigan and Rory Cavan, they obviously put a lot of trust into Keelan Doherty and trust his flexibility, obviously, to play that role. But from a kick-out perspective as well, Mark, it was interesting. I thought Kilcoo's kick-out strategy was obviously Bobo likes to get short kick-outs away. He likes to get those little sort of short ones away and build from the back, whereas Errigal's was more probably longer range kickers, that sort of mid-range zone, and probably the likes of Joe Goose in the middle of the field to back themselves to win that primary ball out there. But there was a lot of sort of interesting tactical battles, throughout the game. But for me, like you're looking at Errigal, and you're thinking, the likes of Rory, the likes of Dara Canavan, who were kept quiet, but you have Kieran McGinley, Thomas Canavan, Peter Hart. They just probably had a bit more of a scoring threat than Kilcoo, Mark, on the day.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned. Kilcoo probably will be disappointed. I think PD scores only one score from play.
Yeah.
You know, at their forward line, and maybe even against Scottstown, like it was meat seeing these boys. There was their defence coming up and
Yeah,
scoring the couple.
Anthony Morgan, Dara Brannigan, Niall Keane, Eugene Brannigan, Mitzi Rooney, like, you know, all on the score sheet. As you say, you know, nothing from Ryan or Jerome or you know, or Doc. You know,
And
Jack
that's
Cavan.
probably one thing to be disappointed with. It probably is what they're, you know, the return from their forward line. But even saying that, I didn't think there was fluid. Even some of the mistakes, like Kilcoo were making mistakes. Even a couple of handling, couple of passes went through, stuff you wouldn't associate them with. And maybe that's down to the pressure Eric will put on. Like, but I thought Eric, to be fair, I did think Eric got their homework spot on. All their everything they did was spot on. They got everything right. And to be fair, looking at a certain extent, you could see Kilcoo done a lot of stuff right too with the two Canavans. Like Niall Brannigan probably his best game of the championship so far, done a serious job in Rory. We Doc, maybe bar the first 10 minutes, Dar Canavan was involved and scored a point, got one, set the goal up. But after that, we Doc got the grip from now. Gallon, I thought Petey Hurt had a massive 12, 13 minutes near the end, won a couple of big breaks, kicked a big score. Gallon got a bit of a turnover or two, probably just like Kilcoo made a few mistakes in that last 5 or 6 minutes. That's not like them, and that's why I do think this defeat will sting them more than what the Glen game did a few years ago. Because
As you said, it's probably one of the most open championships that we've had in you know, in living memory from an All Ireland point of view. Like, you know, and you're looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, like the Andy Merrigan Cup obviously is wide open this year, Mark. You know, and any of the last four could possibly win it. You know, any of the last four could possibly win it on their day. Like, and you're sort of looking at it and you're thinking to yourself, like, Jesus, you know, that was some chance for Kilcoo, because they probably would have been looking at it thinking, you know, Dr. Crokes playing a bit more traditional, you know, Kilcoo's system and style probably would have suited, you know, playing the likes of a team like Crokes. Like, and I like they might not get as far again, they might not get as close again, Mark, to winning an All Ireland, like, you know.
No, and look, to be fair, but the only thing is, I'm sure there's a lot of teams around Ireland sitting thinking that the day that it was wide open. To be fair, it probably has been a year of the big, like this favourite. How many favourites have been beat now in games? If you look back even
Yeah.
the last week, and we'll talk about the Pierces, like every game, but there's no doubt, and that's why I do think this defeat will sting Kilcoo a wee bit more. But like I've no, like, it's
Well, I
just
suppose
the
from
one thing
Kilcoo's
I was
perspective,
disappointed
Mark,
with
sorry
Kilcoo.
for cutting across you there. Sorry for cutting across you there. The one thing though you're guaranteed is that, without being disrespectful to most of the other clubs in down, like, you know, Kilcoo more likely know they're going to be back in an Ulster Club Championship next 2 years. You know what I mean? That's the reality too. Like, you know.
Yeah, but still, it mightn't just be as like I did think this. It was open when you look at the teams that are gone. And even in Ireland, the teams that were beaten, there's no doubt them teams will reset. But the one thing probably Kilcoo, the one thing I was disappointed in Kilcoo was I didn't think they went and played their normal game. I thought they changed a wee bit. The hair, maybe it was the fear of the two Canavans inside. Whereas the one thing about Kilcoo, when they do have the ball, they have serious options. The man, the ball is very rarely left isolated. But bar on Sunday, I thought they just hadn't the same options coming off the ball carrier. Maybe that it seemed to be hanging a few men back. Maybe that was because of the fear of Canavans. I don't know.
Also, as well, Mark, the bench too. Like, you know, like Laverty came on for Jack Davin with 10 minutes to go. Connor would be probably annoyed at himself. A couple of balls it was giveaway. Young Christo Rooney came in for Jerome Johnson, but outside of that, there was no other substitution. You're sort of thinking to yourself, like, just that depth in the bench, like, you know, and maybe.
Yeah, well, I seen the couple of games in the league, and Sean Og McCusker, I thought I seen him 2 or 3 times, and I thought Sean Og, and I seen the league game starting, and I thought Sean Og McCusker was actually their best forward at that time, and now I don't know what's happened. Maybe he's injured. I know he's not injured because he was definitely slipped out, but maybe I don't know the reason. Maybe he's just not doing it training. But early on in the year, he was only why I thought, Jesus, he's going well here. He'll be, but he hasn't got to look in. And again, look, we don't know what's happening at training or what's happening, but it probably
Dylan Ward's back in Australia as well. It'll be a help for them next year, you know.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see does Dilly hang about. I don't know. Now he would, to be fair, if Dilly, I don't know what the situation was. I know he wasn't slipped out. He would have been a serious help for them the other day. They're just needing that wee bit of energy and that wee bit of aggression. But look, they're all what ifs, and what ifs now don't count for nothing. And to be fair, look, Eric will take nothing away from Eric.
Well, I think we need to sort of mention Urgal. Like Urgal obviously came through an unbelievably competitive Tyrone Championship to win their second title in 3 years. You know, and obviously, you know, the game against
St. Eunan's should have.
they
Yeah,
won
St.
it.
Eunan's could have.
I know Corrigan was a straightforward win, but for me, coming through that game against Clonard, St. Eunan's, coming through a tough Throne Championship, like it nearly stood by them in those real clutch moments, didn't it? Really, like towards the end.
Yeah, well, to be fair, they were battle hardened, and they knew every game they went to, every game you went back to the Trillic game in the Throne final. They only won it in the last minute. They went to the St. Eunan's game. They were after 60 minutes. They were 1 down and came back and won it by 2. Or came back and won it by 1. They kicked the last 2 scores, and then Clonard, anybody at Clonard, perhaps TK getting sent off probably. And then Rory Calvin, they kicked their last point 2 minutes in injury time to win it. And to be fair, as you says, McCartan owes McCartan went up and kicked this. McCartan went up and kicked the last score in injury time. So they have that, and look, there's no panic, and that does play a big part. If you can through them battle hardened games, and it's nailed, and look. When 100%. It comes in such moments, and to be fair, I listened to an interview of Pascal Canavan during the week, and I thought it was just when at the time wasn't paying much attention, but one thing he did say, and it's quite coincidence now, he said there's one thing about it: if Eric will get the chance to win it in injury time or near the end, they'll go for it, they'll not fear it. And to be fair, like when you look now, they did. It was a serious score to go and win it.
Peter O'Gormley kicked a fantastic score not too long before that as well.
Under the stand,
really important score, like 2 really important scores. But look, they're going to face Dr. Crokes now, Mark. Dr. Crokes had a comfortable one at the weekend against Lockmore. Interesting enough, Lockmore had 10 of their starting team were over the age. 13 of their starting team were over the age of 30. Lockmore, so remarkable achievement to have so many players playing at that stage of their career. Tony Brosnan with 5 points. Obviously, they won 15-1-6. Mark. It was a late consolation goal from Philip O'Connell in the 62nd minute for the Tipperary champions. So it was a really straightforward comfortable win. Now you look at the names, Fitzgerald, you look at the likes of Gavin White, you look at Burns, you look at O'Shea, you look at Tony Brosnan. Like Dr. Crokes do have some very, 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 very good footballers. I'm not sure defensively they'll have the tools to cope with what Ergal are going to throw at them with the 2 Canavans. Like what would be your thoughts?
No, just you mentioned that, I think there's 12 or 13 of our dual players who they played Hurling, right. Both of them dual. But no, you're right. I look, Dr. Crokes, yes, on name, very big, but they're not. I don't think they're the same powerhouse they were 10, 12 years ago. Yes, Tony brought, I've no issue to play Dr. Crokes. Yes, Michael Burns not there, but I think their go-to man, Errigal, will tie Tony Brosnan up. If Errigal can tie Tony Brosnan up, yes, Michael Burns will do that and Gavin, but I still think if Eric will tie Tony Brosnan up, and obviously, just as you said, I don't know if Crokes have the man to keep the 2 calves, and make no mistake, the 2 of them won't be as quiet again as they were again Kilcoo, and I just would fancy Eric strongly for that game, even though look, it's Dr. but I would fancy Eric massively to beat Dr. Crokes, simply because I do think if you keep Tony Brosnan quiet, you'll go. I do think Dr. Crokes will struggle, even though Michael Burns will chip him and I'll score. But I think Eric will tactically and that will set themselves up really, really well. And I think Dr. Crokes will struggle to break them down.
Been a good year for Crokes. Obviously, they captured the Kerry League as well as the club county and Munster titles. It's their 9th Munster title, as you say. A name can be a big thing too, Mark, at club level. All Ireland club level, provincial club level. The name, the tradition, the history. It does carry a bit of weight and a bit of gold in that respect. And obviously, it's a renewed rivalry of Kerry, Tyrone, and back in the noughties, those great battles between the 2 counties. So it'll be interesting to see. That game is not now to the first weekend in January. So both counties, I'm sure. What will both clubs, Mark? What will it look like over the next few weeks? So for lads, they'll enjoy this week, obviously.
Well, I would say they'll enjoy this week, and I was saying next week is back to work next week. And look, I know people don't like to say it, but your Christmas is sort of cancelled, and look, there's a massive praise, and look, I've no doubt every player in that you have your chance at your fate. You're playing for an Ireland. Players won't worry about your Christmas. I always remember having this conversation with Washing, just Washing McConnell a lot of times. He says we always had a good time in one Ulster with that good week. He says, but during the rest, it was just full steam ahead.
Heads down.
Yep, and heads down, and that's when Ireland was played in March. So now it's actually played. It's going to be early, and I no doubt you've seen the pictures there and videos there of Eric. I've no doubt they'll have a good few days, but I've no doubt maybe by the weekend it'll be heads down and it's full focus, because look, the opportunity you have, they've an opportunity now to go and win an Ireland club, and that's the same Dr. That's the same in everyone. So I don't think as a player, I don't think that's a big sacrifice. I think that's a great. They're in a place where every other club player would love to be in. So I don't think it'll be much of a hike. I would say to be back sitting, you'll probably see them boxing morning or a different one. It's just It's getting everything prepared for that. A massive, massive game. And it's a place where every club would love to be.
Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely. And a club, obviously, that won a Dublin championship this year, Cuala, Leinster Club Championship. I was at the game, actually travelled down to Crokes last weekend, and I said here, Mark, me and you had done 3 or 4 shows, and way back at the start of the Leinster Club campaign, I tipped RD to win Leinster. It was no surprise for me that they were in the final. What surprised me was their first 23, 24 minutes. They didn't score. They were 1-6 to 0 down. And probably could and should have won the game, late on with a big chance that it hit the post. But wee bit of Crow Parkness there as well. You go into Crow Park, Cuala maybe a wee bit more used to it. A couple of Dublin players playing there as well on a regular basis. And Crow Park does strange things to a forward, as you know, and sometimes it does take that 15, 20 minutes. I remember years ago, Mark, playing the league final with Cuala, for example. First time the Cuala lads have been there in 11 years. I think it was 2018, it was 6 years ago at that stage. But you're 5-0 down after 15, 16, 17 minutes, and you're looking around going, he'd kicked him at 7 or 8 short, and you're thinking, what's going on? It's like as if lads had lead in their boots, and I think RD were probably victims of that, Mark, early in the game, but like an astonishing period of play in the second half where they have that 10-minute surge. I talked about it in the show here. They have that 10-minute surge where they can back at the substitute Ryan Rooney actually got a goal, and they came back at Cuala and could have won the game. But it was a brilliant game. It was a brilliant game, particularly the second.
Yeah, now I watched on TV now. It's a wee bit of deja vu. Probably again, same happened to Cuala last year. Again, Kilmacud first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I remember being down at that game last year in RD. First 20 minutes never came out. There were actually 8 or 9 down in that game too.
RD were against Kilmacud, yeah.
Before they actually get going, and I have no doubt St Mary's RD were like this that first 20 minutes. And Killian, you're 100% right in that Croke Park. If you're not used to playing in Croke Park, and I just would wonder, I maybe weren't allowed, but it might have done St Mary's. I know it probably wouldn't have worked for them because they played the semi-final and then had to play the final a week later. It does make a big difference if you can get down to Croke Park, even for 15, 20 minutes. And get a bit of shooting. I know the first year Glen were beat by Kilmacud. It was one thing Malik O'Rourke from Tottenham regretted doing. They didn't get. He felt if they had to do it again, they would have done a session in Croke Park. And I know the year they beat Kilmacud then, they did have their session.
Right,
The year they beat St Bridget's, they went down and done a session in Croke Park and it was simply 20 minutes shooting into both ends of the goals just to get your burn. And it does make a big, big difference. But look, there's no doubt St Mary's played fantastic football the last, especially the second half. But they tend that the first 20 minutes, even though yes, people say St Mary's, but Cuala were absolutely running the men's like that. They just look so good, powerful, athletic around the middle. Just everybody coming off the shoulder. Everybody just seemed to know what was going. But it was amazing how quickly a game can change when momentum changes. And like from Cuala looking so good, the first half completely lost their way the second half. And as you said, if St Mary's had took their chances, they probably would have been Leinster champions. And look, we're talking about regret. They're another team who's sitting today thinking, Jesus, that's a massive missed opportunity, because it's not only a provincial champ, there is a serious chance for any team to go and win that iron. And that's the bit probably will hurt teams more. But look, it's okay you still have to go out and do it. And it's that whatever happens in that 60 odd minutes, it does define what you're going to do. And look, to be fair, they're another team who's going to be sitting kicking themselves all winter.
Yeah, look, some brilliant footballers in the RD team, like obviously Ty McDonald, a young footballer coming through, would have been a star for the Louth under-20s this year. Like he's going to be a fantastic player. Obviously an all-star nominee, Donald McKenny at the back for them along with his brother. You have the Jacksons, Johnny Cummins, Kiki Keenan. Like these lads have all played for Darragh McConnell. They've all played for Louth this year. They're experienced players. And it just goes to show, even with that experience, the Croke Park thing can really get on top of you. But I've no doubt that obviously Cuala will now, Mark, really strongly fancy themselves, particularly now, Mark, that Pearses were beaten by Strandhill, which was a big shot, a big shot. Now I was looking at it, Mark, and I was looking back in the game. I know it was a week ago, but Pearses must be kicking themselves. They Mark, they were 5 up after 40 minutes. That 14 wides, that 6 shots dropped short. Mother of God, they must be sick.
Yeah, to be fair, they had a lot of chances missed, a lot of kicks. A lot of misses. I think I've seen overall it's something like 32 shots, Strandhill at 14. And it makes, but it's just a shot, and it comes down to that. Look, it's your shot efficiency. And to be fair, I'll give Strandhill. I thought Strandhill done defensively were really good. We're keeping Pearses, a lot of Pearses shots.
I remember somebody saying, Mark, I remember
Going
somebody said
from.
stats, you know, talking about stats, and somebody said about stats. You don't see the stats, you don't see the stats. And I remember this wise man once turned around and says, he says, the only stat that matters is the scoreboard, you know, and it's true. Like, you know,
It's true, but like Pearson went 4 in front, as you said, the 42nd, 43rd minute, or 5, and you could see only one winner. Now, to be
yeah,
fair to Strandhill, they really, really had a massive last 15 minutes, and then an extra time looking to be. Now, the thing in Markavitch Park looked a complete bug. It looked this, I know it's a
yeah,
bug for both
yeah,
teams. It looked really, really heavy, but it goes back to that there. Like, I think Pearce were 1-7 on, and they were. I know I had just showed I had felt Pearce and Cocoon maybe would get to an Iron Club final, and it
yeah.
just shows the two of them are gone, and it just shows you. But if
The
you have a group
competitive,
of players, forget
competitive
about
nature
the
makes
bookies, forget whatever. If you have a group of players and everybody believes in you, you just don't know what would happen as long as
well,
you
that's
that
the beauty.
mindset's right.
Beauty, Mark, of club football. Like you have Roscommon versus Sligo there, and you know, if you were to play that game at county level, for example, you know, there obviously would be a distinct advantage, you know, for Roscommon. Like, but you look at club level, like it's such a great leveler, you know, and that every club believes that they've got a chance, you know, and that is the beauty of the club, isn't it? Like, you know, and
Yeah, and to be fair, look, it's a beauty, and it goes back to like Strandhill were completely writ off. And to be
yeah.
fair, like they actually played a
Well,
lot of good football, a lot.
Niall Murphy is as good a forward as there is in the
Ah,
country. Like,
he's
you know, he's a
outstanding, and
brilliant
Rory Carr's brought in at 6
That's
was
right.
magnificent from front. Like he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
magnificent. Just
Ross
yeah,
O'Carroll.
caught like he just
Um,
drove.
Pierce would be a bit disappointed that, you know, like obviously Paul Keary had an unbelievable game against Corofin and never really reached those heights again. Then, you know, it was very quiet again. Or it was very quiet again. Mohill, the Leitrim champions, and was very, very quiet. It was scoreless actually against Strandhill. That'd be disappointing for Paul, like, you know, after such a brilliant game against
Perfect.
Corofin, you know.
Yeah, and Pierce, he was really good against Corn. Even again, like that's the thing. That probably Pierce is probably when they beat Bridget for probably thinking Ian and them, and they went to Corofin. They probably felt we've done all with a lot of hard work done here, with a
Yeah,
lot of hard shoveling, and that's it'll sting
yeah,
them too for a while or two. And if I'm right, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I think Bridget beat Strandhill last year by 14 points
yeah,
in Connacht, but I think
yeah.
the game was played in the Hyde and makes a big like home advantage sometimes, and then makes a big advantage. And there's no doubt for Strandhill playing a Connacht final in Markavitch Park was also like it was worth 2 or 3 points. But look, fair play them, and it just shows you in any given day.
I know there was a few Pierce's players playing with a few knocks and a few injuries and that, but still at the same time take nothing away from Strandhill. And listen, they won the semi-final, Mark, you know, on penalties. You know, I remember listening
I
on the
beat
radio.
Ballina, yeah.
Yeah, it was a terrific comeback for them. Niall Murphy got black carded in that game, actually, came back on and scored a penalty. So listen, look, take nothing away from them, and it probably shows as well that Sligo football is obviously going in a really, really strong direction. Looking ahead to the semi-finals, Mark, quickly, Urrigal against Dr. Crokes. You would have to say, even without sounding partisan on the Ulster side of things, like I just feel tactically and, you know, strategically and things like that as well. I just think Urrigal and the battles that Urrigal have come through, I just think they'll have too much for them, Mark.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just be interesting. It'd be completely like different styles of football, but from what Crokes are going to play and what Eric is going to play, Crokes still live that traditional kicking game. They like the kick and Pat O'Shea in there. And I think I seen this thing the other day. Pat O'Shea's now 20 trophies at club level between All Ireland clubs or all provincial clubs champs. So it's a serious record. And the style, both teams play a completely different style. But look, as you said, I would fancy Eric strongly simply because I do think if you can take Tony Brosnan out of it, you do cut a massive chunk of Dr. Crokes down, and I do think Eric will do that, and I don't see the two Canavans being as quiet as Gain.
Yeah, so you got to go for Urrigal win.
Eric, yeah.
And obviously Cuala against Strandhill. Strandhill obviously take nothing away from them, but I think Cuala, you know, will have too much for them. They'll have too much for them.
Yeah, I think, look, to be fair, Strandhill done really, really well. They're both, and look, I don't mean to say in disrespect, but they're sitting thinking we're provincial champions now. If somebody had said in this at the start of the year, they'd have grabbed the hands of them, and yes, they'll sit and go, well,
Yeah.
they're going to be, they're going into the semi final again completely rid up. But I do think Cuala will be a wee bit now more on their toes, ready for them simply because of the way they went and beat the Pearses. But look, there's a massive, I do Cuala, massive opportunity now for Cuala. Not only they took them a while to get out of Dublin, now they're sitting there in an All Ireland semi final, and there's no doubt Cuala will eye the top prize. And look, I can't see anybody else only than Cuala beating Strandhill, and I think it will be quite comfortably.
I suppose the Dublin Championship, very like the Tyrone Championship, you don't know if you're going to be back next year having another athlete in the same way as excuse me, some of these counties will feel, Mark, you know, and obviously I'm hearing rumblings about the likes of Nafina making big additions to their club as well. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of clubs in Dublin that are obviously going to be in the horizon next year, and are going to look at Cuala as an example of someone who they can take the lead from. Mark, I think before we go, obviously it'd be worth noting, obviously the sadly passing of Jody Gormley. Jody would have touched a lot of lives. Was obviously head of PE and neighbouring school here in Newry in the Abbey Grammar. You know, very, very tragic for the family, Mark, his friends, you know, the Tyrone Gales. And, you know, Jody obviously would have coached down when you were there as a player. You obviously played under Jody as well. I think he also, if I'm right, managed at the club as well in Longstone. Is that right?
Yeah, for 3 years, 2010 to 2013. And to be fair, I always remember when I heard it, I remember that morning after the Tyrone final, I was actually, there was a coaching thing on Monday up in St. Paul's, Bessbrook. And Armagh run up, but Jody was there with Peter McGinnity, and it was just after, it was about 3 or 4 months after the stroke in America. And I remember talking about, actually wrong, we were talking about he was trying to get a game. He says, we'll try and get a game through like in Slotneil, and he was in great form. And that was okay. And I haven't really been talking to him since. And then it was a day after the Tyrone final, I heard it, and to be fair, I sent him a text message saying, look, I heard something about you, I hope it's not true. And he just says, unfortunately, Dorney, it's true. And it just sort of hit home. He'd lost a championship final that Saturday. But the one thing about Jody is, he coached us down for 3 years. Severe. I've never. He's seriously fit man. Seriously fit, seriously driven. And to be fair to Jody, one thing about Jody is, like, he never ever will buy you. If Jody could help you in some way, he done. Look, and it's just you feel for his family. I don't know the two girls, but I know James. I remember James was a wee boy when Jody managed Longstone. He used to have James up. But it's just as on. You look, it puts probably football and everything in the respect of a man at 53, and you'd have thought Jody's top of his power, super fit, looked after himself immaculately, and maybe that's a lesson as all. And to be fair, you everybody listen to this podcast and like serious bravery and strength. Maybe it's just make sure we go out and enjoy life and don't get bogged down, because I know football wise can be, I know yourselves the same. Football after certain defeats, it can take you 3 and 4 weeks getting over things.
James Horn was here in school last weekend at the coaching event we had in St. Joseph's, and he made a very, you know, it resonated with me, like, you know, don't let it consume you. You know, there's a lot of other things going on in life, and just don't let football completely. We're all mad about football, we're all fanatical about it, but you know, never get too high with a victory and never get too low with a defeat. It's always somewhere in between. And obviously, Mark, it's about trying to get the balance right and stuff too. But look, as I say, I think it's important we acknowledge Jody here and the impact that he had on so many lives, and may he rest in peace, and regard our condolences to his family and his friends. It's a sad time. Mark, thanks a million, and
no problem.
Back again, and we'll look at the All Ireland Club final back in the new year. Chat to you soon. Have a good
All
Christmas.
All right, Stevie. Good luck. Seeing you. Bye.